that music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat
Minute! Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the show that analyzes and investigates Tim Burton's, you guessed it, Batman Returns 1 minute at a time. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I am the other host, Niall McGowan.
Sup?
Yep.
I've done that one before. That's
Yeah. Oh, you're repeating yourself already, John. Jesus.
I am. We're off to a bad start. But anyway, we are joined here once again by our very special guest. It's the host of the Roughneck Minute podcast, Matthew Soto.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me again.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for coming back. Thank you for putting up with these credits for yet another minute/hour.
Always a pleasure to do credits. Man, I love them.
Although we do,
Yeah.
I think the next one you do get a bit of action. Not substantial action, but there's a bit of not credit action. Ooh, it's just in the pipeline.
Could I have one request, actually? Could I come back at the very end of the movie for those credits as well too? That would just put a
that'd be
nice
cool.
little bookend right there.
That would be great. But at the same time, Chrysanthi Tan very much loves doing the scene that goes from the last shot of the film into the credits. That's her favorite part of a movie.
Okay.
So you'll have to fight her. Although we might not give her those this time anyway. We might be more generous.
Not that there's anything wrong with those minutes, of course.
No, the whole movie's great.
It's
What are you talking about?
the people who did those minutes the last time were a treasure. So
Speaking of minutes, this is minute 5 of Batman Returns. And the minute starts with us finding out that Stan Winston is to be the one to school us all on makeup. And it ends with old Sam Ham. Our favourite from the last season.
inventor of the ham salad, Sam Ham. No, he didn't.
Little known fact.
I just made that up. But yeah, of course, yeah, we do get one of the biggest credits you could get, really. From the Penguin makeup and special effects were done by Stan Winston. Who that's a little Frasier reference there from people who know Cam Winston, Frasier's rival.
Oh, yeah.
I like to throw in Frasier references when I can, and people are getting progressively more frustrated with them as time goes by.
What are you talking about? They're all great.
Oh.
Now, I'm sure our listeners, though, I mean, you'll all know Stan.
Predominantly known as the director of A Gnome Named Norm. That was his big thing. The
Of course, that's what he's most known for.
which of course starred Robert Zadar and Anthony Michael Hall, who was in The Dark Knight. Oh my God!
Oh, everything's connected.
And yeah, he didn't do anything else, did he? He was just like that was him. Like I only looked at his IMDb. I just looked at the director bit. I didn't look at any of his other credits, so I don't know if he did anything
No,
else.
he did do a couple of other things, Niall. I'm sure we all remember his work on his biggest movies, Ghoulies,
Yeah.
Pumpkinhead, and Doom.
Oh my God.
No, I mean, you can probably guess. We are joking. Of course, he worked on the Terminator films, The Thing, Aliens, Predator, Jurassic Park, Galaxy Quest.
It's pretty
and
much
Crystal
every
Skull.
single thing you would have, every special effect you've enjoyed in the past 40 years. Stan Winston probably had something to do with it. Pretty-
Plus Avatar.
Well, even beyond that though, he did the Mr. Roboto mask for the Styx music video for Mr. Roboto. It was like, holy crap, this guy's doing everything. He also did the Wookiee outfits for the Star Wars Christmas special, holiday special. Don't want to, of course, it's Life Day. It's not nothing to do with Christmas at all. What am I talking about?
Yeah, that's a very American thing, holiday. We don't really say that.
He did Grandpa Itchy? That's great.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. So Stan Winston's the guy clawed his way pretty much out of the dirt, up until.
I don't want to be too explicit here. So we like to keep it PG, even though the penguin is grotesque. But is the grandpa the the one who basically sits and watches pornography.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, that's him. With he has no teeth or anything, and he's just gummy. It's all weird, and he's just watching VR porn pretty much.
That is quite a scene.
Christmas special, holiday special. Yes,
Nothing says Christmas like pornography.
While your granddad's sitting watching it.
I don't know what you guys do over there in Great Britain, but over here in
It's
America,
a tradition.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. Notable other things that Stan Winston did. He actually worked on a movie called The Bat People from 1974. He also did Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, one of those fantastic blaxploitation things where they just, like Blackula and Blackenstein and stuff like that.
I love Blackula.
We actually have was a former guest of the show. Ash Lerczak was in probably my favorite band name ever. It was one of his bands, which was called White Blackula, which is like that's a fantastic name for a band.
Awesome band.
He also did the makeup on Heartbeeps, which is like Heartbeeps is not a good movie, infamously so. It's one of Andy Kaufman's. It's pretty much the only Andy Kaufman cinematic release of any real note.
Sadly,
but the special effects in that movie are fantastic. So give the stand the man there. Also did. He did the transition effects for the Panther and the Hawk in Manimal. The fantastic canceled too soon 1-season wonder Manimal, which me and my friend Steve made fun of so much that he actually bought me the DVD of Manimal for my birthday one year.
I might have said this on the show before. I grew up with Manimal. I loved it. And when you're a kid, you don't realize there's only one season because it's on repeat. It just loops. You just keep watching it. You don't care.
I'll have to look into you. Personally, John, I'll do it off the air. But that they brought back the character of Manimal for like another TV show that was made by.
Please say it's Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
No. Oh, if only. No, apparently the guy who the people behind Manimal made another show that was like another 1-season wonder kind of thing, but they brought back like Simon McCorkindale as that character, but like, hey, here's Manimal, he's back, he's like the same guy is playing the same part, and it's like the same universe and stuff.
Yes, the Manimal cinematic universe.
Pretty much, yeah. I have to look up what it was though, because I remember listening to a podcast at the time when they were talking about it. I was like, I had no idea I had other Manimal fans nearby. So
I think we're the only Manimal fans in history, and if I watched it now, it would probably be terrible.
Although I did look up though, noting that Stan Winston did specifically his transformations into a panther and into a hawk. And you look at them; they're pretty good. They're actually like you can see, like, oh, that's this terrible TV show, but it all of a sudden has this amazing special effects, transformation bit. We're like, oh, Stan Winston did it. There you go. That explains that then. So. You can YouTube them though handily enough, so that's save you a lot of time there instead of having to wade through the entire show. Stan Winston obviously, I think the last movie he worked on was Iron Man as well. So before he tragically died, he helped launch the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I guess that's a hell of a way to go out.
Oh, rest in peace. He's done a lot for movies.
Yeah. And then, of course, after Stan Winston, we get the music kind of takes a bit of a sort of starts to mellow out here a little bit, and kind of goes into a real like sort of instead of driving up and going high octane, it kind of gets a bit like it starts idling a little bit. Then we get the costume credits for occasional Michael Stipe lookalike Bob Ringwood. And I think we did.
Occasionally.
I think we discussed it in like that one post in the Listener Society or the Listener's Cave. Sorry, where like there's a picture of Bob Ringwood in the Joker outfit, and when he's got the hat on, he looks exactly like Michael Stipe. But then when you see any other picture of Bob Ringwood, he looks nothing like him. So it's some kind of bizarre concoction. Like, if you mix the costume, you got Michael Stipe, and then.
Well, Bob Ringwood, of course, though, he's back this time to make sure that Michael Keaton can move.
Well,
Because he couldn't move in the last movie.
yeah, to be fair, he didn't do a particularly great job in this one either. But.
Yeah, can the neck still turn, or can it not turn at all?
No.
It can turn somewhat.
So we're talking maybe about 10 degrees of movement.
Yeah, rather than 0.
All right. Well, I mean, 10 degrees is better than nothing.
I think it's like it is the Dark Knight where they actually make a point of saying like, this is Batman can move his head now. I think that was the first movie to be like, here you go, we've actually sorted this out. You think after the first one that would have been a concern, but it took them a further 18 years or something, 16 years to figure it out. But anyhow, that's not to poo-poo Bob Ringwood's work though. He's fantastic, does a fantastic job in this movie, particularly the outfits of Max Schreck, which we'll get into in a big way when he eventually shows up in the movie. Say eventually, he shows up next week, but
I'm wearing one now.
Oh, in this heat wave, John, you crazy? No wonder you're so friggin'
I'm that dedicated now.
It's like in the even about to die from dehydration due to the heat, you're still like, I want to do this bow tie. I won't do it. I refuse to take off this blazer and these leather gloves.
No, if the listeners really want to know, no, I am solely in my underwear.
I'm afraid I have to insist every time we record in our underwear.
I mean, they asked me specifically to record in my underwear when I got on. So, I mean, this is what you guys are doing.
Hell yeah! I mean, the listeners would know if you weren't doing it. It would ruin the mood.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to hear meat slap or anything like that.
Everyone's a lot more comfortable when we're all on an even keel of being in our underwear. That's like. That's what is an interrogation technique I learned during my years in the service there.
Just sliding around on our chairs in this, disgusting heat.
I want to see you join the service, Niall. You're the least likely person to do anything like that.
I could be in the John. I could handle it. Anywho, Bob Ringwood is joined this time, for the first time, by Mary Vogt, or Vogt. Vogt. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it. She also was quite notable because she worked on all the Men in Black movies, which is, all look terrific. So, can't blame them for the spiral down in quality after that, after the first one. Although there should be a Men in Black minute. Like, that's a movie I'm waiting for. It's like, someone someday has got to step up. Because even then, Minute in Black, the title's right there for you as well.
Oh, that movie, though, it's okay. It's fine. It's fun. Will it hold up to any form of scrutiny in any way, though?
I'll get into it because I saw Men in Black 7 times in the cinema, as I recall.
Holy crap!
It was mostly
the first one.
Yeah, it was mostly because there was nothing really else to do in the town. But there was a couple of weekends I remember, and it was on for ages. Like, because it was a huge hit, right? So it played for months and months and months. So yeah, I think it was about 7 times I got out to see the first movie.
That's weird because I've always found, like, the seeing things multiple times sort of thing is very American. Like, you don't get that a lot in the UK until recently, I find, with the Marvel movies and Star Wars. Before that, people didn't really go more than once.
I never.
Yeah, but you're like a freak.
I do.
An admitted one.
I do remember that summer it was broken up because you went to Men in Black one week, went to see Volcano with Anne Hesh and Tommy Lee Jones the next week, and then was like, oh, this was a terrible mistake. I'm going back to see Men in Black.
It's great. What are you talking about? Volcano's a great movie.
I have to put a pin in this because you never know, it may end up happening. But me and my friend Gary, who's former guest of the show, Gary Gavigan, who will be on later again in this film, we came up with a concept one time. Well, he came up with it, to be fair to him, of doing a podcast where we watch 1 minute of Dante's Peak and 1 minute of Volcano at a time. And then compare and contrast every week just to see how far we could go. And I was like, well, one's like half an hour longer than the other one. And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. But so the thing is, though, it seems like such a kind of stupid idea that's like, I'd do that. Yeah, totally. I was like, I have to wait until I'm done with this particular stupid idea. But after we're done with that minute, and of course, still doing the exclamation point title podcast, of course.
Of course.
But could fit in. I was going to call it Dante's Volcano, but that's not even the best title. Like, it's Dante.
You can come up with something funnier.
What's like Dante Volmin or something? I don't know.
Work on it.
That's all brainstorming for stuff. That's theoretical things in the distant future.
I'm going to take us on a slight detour now, right? I'm going to break away from the names that are attacking my face, and I will mention this basket floating. Let me just remind everyone, the basket's still floating. Yes, that's all we're seeing. But I looked up wicker baskets because I wanted to see if a child in a wicker basket could float in like a stream or something.
Do you have to phone up like wicker salesman and be like, if I was to have a basket with a child, like a newborn baby, if I was to throw it into the sewer, would it float? And then
blocked.
And like their whole office like went the entire day of like having to get different people in to like no, we're gonna figure this out, damn it. Get like the chalkboard out and stuff, and like, well, how much does it weigh exactly? And is it sewer water? Is it like completely, is it completely liquid, or is there a lot of sludge in this water? Like what?
Well, this is a sad thing. I couldn't actually find any information on this. No one has tested it, strangely. But I did find one little factoid I was intrigued in, which makes me sound intelligent because it's not funny. It said the word wicker, because it's a weird word. It's a weird word. The word wicker is of Scandinavian origin, because vika means to bend in Swedish, and vika, spelled E-R, whereas that was an A, means willow. So it's kind of like a mixture of the two, like a bent willow. I was like, that's intriguing. I quite liked that.
Oh, there's all the talk of wicker. I believe I put it up on Facebook the other week, because I do have distinct memories of a guy I knew who, I still know him. I haven't seen him in a while, but I still know who he is. But he would always refer to the film The Wicker Man as the Wicker Man. Like every time you talk to him, he'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna watch the Wicker Man last night." It's like,
why the emphasis?
I don't know. And the entire time I was standing like, should I say something, or like this is?
Does he do it with Batman?
No, I don't think I've ever talked to him about Batman. I'll have to look into this.
Batman.
Yeah, but it was bizarre. And he was a I know this guy distinctly. One other thing he always said was that instead of saying Amish, he'd say Amish. Which I think I've heard other people say that, though. But like, I still thought it was very strange. Because like, well, it's Amish, isn't it?
Does he also say wash your hands?
That would annoy me. Yeah. It annoys me enough. There's a divide in England about how things are pronounced between the north and the south, where people, those posh arseholes in the south, pronounce everything with like if they said bath, they would say bath. And it's just wrong, and it's just, you need to be shot.
Yeah.
Man, you guys shouldn't even talk. You guys put U's at the very end of everything, so don't even, all right?
Hey, it's important that U's there.
and you know what? It's aluminum, all right?
Oh my!
Straight up,
it's very clearly aluminium.
aluminum.
I did have a big debate one time with a girl I know. She's incredibly posh English accent. And I remember, I didn't have a debate. She started it, to be fair, because I say, glacier, and she's like, "What are you saying? It's glacier." I'm like, what?
Glacier.
Yeah, but it's glacier. But then my one thing, and she didn't, because she's she's a full blown doctor, so she's way more intelligent than me. But it was the one time I've ever felt a bit like, I think I won that, because at the end I was like, "Oh, have you ever heard of someone moving at a glacial pace? It's glacial. It's for glacier." And she was just going, "Oh." And she didn't have a comeback. And I was like, "Oh, I won that one argument this one time."
And she never spoke to you again.
No, never seen her since.
It was worth killing the friendship.
But I was right. And I'm officially down in this. Although we get waves of letters now going, "You asshole, what's glacier?"
To be honest, though, when I went on Spider-Man Minute, it only just dawned on me in that minute, so to speak, that Spider-Man has a hyphen.
Yes, yeah.
Because I always thought it was one word, like that was his name, like he was like David Spiderman.
But you didn't see that episode of Friends where they distinctly say that it's not that.
I don't remember that. Maybe that's why it's in my head, though. Because I was like, there's a hyphen in there.
No, it's an episode of Friends where, like, I think, Phoebe says to Chandler, it's like, "Why isn't it Spider-Man?" And he's like,
There you go.
he's like, oh, he's not his last name. It's not like Goldman. He's a Spider-Man and all that stuff. So
He's Peter Spider-Man.
yeah, I do know that Scott and Zach, like they have placed emphasis on the hyphen. They've said like, oh, when you're spelling it out, it has to have a hyphen in it. Like that's very important, and it has to be capitalized M and stuff like that. So yeah, those guys they've definitely got a very fussy way of approaching that. But
Well, Batman doesn't have a hyphen.
yeah, that just means now if we go back for like Spider-Man 3. The whole time you should be calling him Spider-Man. Just like so, like when Spider-Man in this this scene,
Or at least Batman.
Batman.
I mean, you could do this for everyone. Iron Man,
Yeah,
Iron Man, yes. I love that. Tony Ironman.
Tony Iron Man.
Yeah. So
I don't know where we are anymore. I've lost my mind.
this is going to
What's
be.
going on?
We're going to keep doing this throughout the entire show, and people are going to lose so many listeners because they're like, I can't keep calling him Batman. It's
Why
No,
are
this is what
doing
they
it?
come for.
Oh yeah. Now they come for my smooth tones.
anyway, back to the names, I guess.
Well, I did have a name coming up that Chris. Oh God, how am I going to say it? Chris Lebenzon or Lebenzon?
I'll say Lebenzon, but
Lebenzon. He was the editor for this. It's his first entry in the series. He wasn't with the last one, but since this point, he's worked with Burton on almost every film, like constantly.
it's like kind of like, oh, we're seeing like a friendship been born because they obviously must have like, oh, I like this Chris guy. I'm going to have him do all my movies from now on. So like that's nice. It's nice that we've seen the blossoming of a bromance.
It's quite cute.
Yeah. But Chris, not only all the Tim Burton movies, but like also notable things he did. XXX or Triple X. So
It's Triple X, yes.
I thought you were calling it XXS as a joke.
I've always called it XXX.
What?
Yes.
It's the Triple X program. Have you not watched this movie? Didn't you watch the sequel at mine when we were very drunk and not paying attention?
No, but the thing is, when the film was first coming out, and I kept seeing the posters everywhere, I kept going, oh yeah, XXX. And so even though they can call it Triple X in the film all they want, but like no, it's like it's XXX and it's Glacier. That's the way.
And it's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Do you call Jaws 3 the Jaws I?
Uh,
No, I call it Jaws 3D, of course.
Okay.
Thrud.
That's right. I'm sorry. They did do 3D.
Yeah, I had Jaws 3D as a kid on tape, but the VHS didn't come with 3D glasses or anything. So it was still called Jaws 3D, but it was in 2D. It was very confusing.
Especially that last part where the shark gets blown up and you see all those just the skeleton just right there.
Yeah,
and
it makes
it's
no
supposed to come out at you.
I mean, that's a real downfall because if you don't watch it in 3D, the film's going to seem like it's terrible, and that'd be a complete misrepresentation of the entire thing.
In 3D, it's fantastic.
It's a lot better than Revenge. Just gotta say.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about a lot better, but at least it has a plot that makes some kind of sense. I guess maybe a little bit.
But yeah, Chris here also went on to work on Con Air, which is your favorite.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing a Con Air t-shirt at the minute as well.
Thank you.
You've ruined the illusion. I thought we were all nude.
Oh no, it was
Underwear.
It was my underwear.
Oh, I took them off.
No. Oh, no, that was for the end of the week, John. No, you're ahead of us.
It's coming up to happy hour.
But and yeah, he also worked on. I have to say, probably worked a bit too much on Armageddon, which is I tried rewatching Armageddon last year, and there's so many edits in it, particularly towards the end. I couldn't watch it. It was like I was like seizure inducing. It was like there's not one shot of that movie that lasts over like 4 seconds. Like everything's constantly jumping around, and at the end, like when things are happening, it's maybe 2 seconds. It's crazy the level of cuts in that movie. And
I've never seen it. Is that controversial?
Oh my god, yes.
Is it worth one watch?
Yes.
It's definitely worth a watch, just to witness, because it's quintessentially like, this is Michael Bay. If you're going to get the best of him, this is Armageddon's pretty much it.
It's America. It's America in a film.
Oh, it's very cheesy then. Okay, I'm on board.
Oh yeah, you'll love it.
I mean, Independence Day is, and I like that. I think there was a period of time where I didn't like that movie. When I was a kid, I loved it. And then I was like, no, I like proper movies now. I like real films. And now I've gone the other way. I'm like, oh no, it's fun. It's great. I don't care, whatever.
See, I went through a similar phase, but I always maintained that I liked Independence Day. And then when the second one came out, and people were going like, well, of course the first one's terrible. Everyone remembers that. And I was like, what? What do you mean the first one's terrible? The first one's fantastic.
Amazing.
I didn't hear anything like that. No one ever said the first one was terrible to me because they all loved it.
Yeah,
Well, that's because you're in America.
Yeah, maybe it's just the people I keep around.
I mean, it even makes people in the UK go like, "Woo, USA!"
Hell yeah, man.
But that wasn't when you've got like America's best, taking on the alien. It was when it's Jeff Goldblum and Will Smith. It's like, well, of course, if those are the Americans defeating the aliens, then I'm all on board for this. But
Oh yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
and of course, Randy Quaid going completely crazy as well, which is a direct mirror of what would happen to him in real life. So
I'm too distracted by Jeff.
yeah. Also, to break away from the names here for a second, also because at this point we do get the shadow of the basket on the wall.
Yeah,
And
it's getting somewhere.
Yeah, but I was wondering if this is supposed to be, because later on, before we're properly introduced to the penguin, we do get his shadow going along a wall again. I was wondering if this is supposed to be like a little, like part one of the 2-part shot of like this is supposed to be like it's him as a baby, and then when we get to him in his main state that we deal with him later, you also get a little shadow shot. So you've seen like that's hinting at before you know that what is officially going on in the movie. This having the 2 shadow shots is kind of indicating this is the baby now growing up when you see him.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, George, for coming in.
Actually, was it George who said it, or was it Rick McCallum?
I've always thought it was George, but maybe it was.
I'm not sure. Genuinely, that is a question. I can't remember who says it.
Yeah. But anyway.
I know George can't say Gungans.
Did he not
He
invent
calls
the
them
term?
Gungas throughout the... What's that?
That's like I thought he invented the term. So I guess
He did.
Whatever
But in
he
the
calls them,
whole-
I guess we should be calling them that then.
In that whole documentary, he says the Gungas.
Oh. But that's the thing. Actually, earlier today, this is again going off in crazy tangents, but
Well, we have to. It's the bloody credits.
but like earlier today, I was actually because in case people don't know, I'm a proofreader by my profession, and I had to had an essay where they repeatedly did different ways of presenting the word Wi-Fi, and so I had to look up. I was like, right, for once and for all, what is the correct presentation of the word Wi-Fi?
Wait, there's only 2 ways to say it, though. There's Wi-Fi, and there's the thing that, like, the Spanish people at my work do, where they say, like, Wi-Fi or something.
I mean, like, this person would like, occasionally put in, like, capital W, capital F with a dash.
Oh.
Occasionally it'd be just Wi-Fi, all lowercase, with no dash, things like that. And looking into it, I discovered that apparently, because people always assumed that it was a contraction for wireless fidelity. Apparently that's not true. It's a made-up word by a marketing department. They just came up with the term Wi-Fi. And they originally wrote it as capital W, lowercase I, capital F, lowercase I. And
Important information.
Yeah, with no dash. And the thing is, they presented that that's the way it's written, but everyone keeps putting a dash in. And I was like, well, sure. Yeah, kind of assume, though. And I had to kind of go in this guy's essay, a little side note going like, apparently this is the case, and it should be spelled this way, but everyone, including like Wikipedia and stuff, constantly refer to it with a dash. So the original presentation of the word, as written by the people who created it, no longer counts. Much like George Lucas pronouncing Gungans incorrectly. So, but I think I might have to do a hard line now, but like, no, it's Wi-Fi, W-I, no dash F with a capital W and a capital F. Anyway, I think we lost Matthew there. I think he's just like, F this, I'm out of here.
That's what happens
I
to
thought
us
I
in
was
the
here to
credits.
talk about Batman.
Oh my God, we'll get
Don't
back.
worry, you'll get your chance to say anything you want about Batman. The credits, oh my God, they're a challenge every time. We love doing the show, but oh my God.
Oh man, I can't wait till next week when we get an actual. It's a pity you can't be here for that, Matthew. But next week, it's looking so great.
All the good stuff next
All
week.
right. I knew what I signed up for.
Well, we get credit for the production designer, Bo Welch.
Yep.
Catherine O'Hara's husband.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed. Like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's well, that guy he looked out because Catherine O'Hara was fantastic. So,
Oh yeah, and he's worked with Burton a lot as well. Lots and lots and lots. But most recently, actually, I didn't know this. He worked on Netflix's A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh.
yeah, fantastic production design in that show as well.
It's amazing. It's one of the only things where most of it is CGI, and I don't care. It looks great. That's a wonderful use of CGI.
But he also worked in all the Men in Black movies. So yeah, we got a little bit of maybe him and Mary Voigt had a little. Maybe they're buddies. You never know.
Yeah, my favorite of all those was Beetlejuice, though.
Oh yes,
Of course,
classic.
starring Catherine O'Hara. So
Yeah, and a certain someone.
no one else relevant to this movie was in Beetlejuice at all. I don't know what you're talking about, John.
I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah, there's no further connections to that movie.
Winona?
I've just realised I have dressed as Beetlejuice, and I've never posted it in the listeners group.
Oh, well then, hop to it.
I need to. It was my homage to the certain someone I'm talking about who apparently isn't in the movie.
But I can't remember having an homage. Was there a night of Mickey Keaton that I didn't know about?
No, it was just Halloween.
Oh, right. But you're differentiating by saying, this isn't a Halloween costume, this is my homage to Michael Keaton.
All of my costumes are an homage.
To
I will
Michael
have
Keaton.
you
So when you dress as Roddy Piper, that was an homage to Michael Keaton as well?
Roddy Piper was an homage to Michael Keaton.
Alright.
Hedwig Schmidt was an homage to Michael Keaton.
Yeah, well, no further questions.
And this coming Halloween's Lil Pound Cake, you'll probably have to Google, is an homage to Michael Keaton.
Anywho, talking about previous Tim Burton movies. In the previous week when we had to deal with Paul Rubens, me and John were very stumped because we're just like, we don't really, because Pee Wee Herman wasn't a thing in the UK, so we were just like, I don't really know who this guy is. But I guess, like, Matthew, we would have needed you back then, because it's like, you were a person, I'm assuming, of age at the time when this came out. Were you aware watching it that, like, oh, that's Pee Wee Herman when you first saw the movie? Or
Yeah, actually, because I'm a huge fan of the 85 movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And also his kids show, which came later on in the 90s. So seeing him in this, I didn't recognize him at first. And then my dad pointing him out was like, well, that's Pee-wee. I'm like, oh, what? That's Pee-wee? That's awesome.
I bet that blew your mind.
It did. It blew my 6-year-old mind to, like, crazy heights.
that's the thing, though. Like, we were like, oh, that's Pee Wee. And then, like, what's he doing? What's he doing with that baby carriage? He's throwing it in the goddamn river. What the hell?
Pee Wee, no!
Well, it didn't sing, so I assumed it was okay.
Oh, man. It would have been great, though, if, like, it turned out that, like, they kind of misled you, and it turned out it wasn't the penguin, and it was actually Pee Wee Herman was in the baby carriage. And it's like that's why he's that way. It's because he just, my parents threw me out when I was... sorry, I can't do the impression. Like, my parents threw me out when I was a baby.
That's pretty good.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
I'll take that.
I can't do the other one, though. The kind of... like when he gets in that real deep guttural roar. Can't...
Yeah, the...
I was kind of hoping you were going to do it there, so I was like,
let me see if I can get that. As he does that kind of thing, kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, it's
Okay.
better than what I can do anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, Pee Wee was kind of a weird enigma because I mean he was doing like a comedy stage show beforehand that was kind of raunchy, and then later on it became like more of a kids like focused thing, and the movies came out. Again, the movie was more kid-focused. Like, it was him playing like a little kid, pretty much, with, missing his bike and going on this great adventure. It was nuts.
Yeah.
But then, as we discussed last week, he's a dirty, dirty man.
Yeah, well,
No, he's not really.
no,
We
man,
defended him, actually.
Thank you. Because a lot of people still, point him out for, doing what he did. But I'm like, what else are you going to do in those theaters?
That's exactly what I said. Oh my God, thank you.
But anyway, let's get our mind out of the sewer and talk about what's going on in the sewer in Gotham here. We also have so many awkward names in this movie. Stefan Chavsky? How do you pronounce this?
I'd say, wouldn't it just be like Sapsky or
Sapsky?
Sapsky would be good, yeah.
And he's done some stuff. Like he's not one of the most at this point when you're getting into they just did a bunch of things.
Yeah, we don't want to list every single person's resume.
Yeah, the next credit I thought was a bit more interesting because it's Larry Franco, who was like, I wonder if he's any relation to James Franco. And apparently he is not, but notably he is the former brother-in-law of Kurt Russell. And he's also, what do you call it? Because his Wikipedia page is it's like a wave of formers. He's like he's the father of a former baseball player, and he's the the former son-in-law of Bing Russell. Well, I had no idea. Apparently, Kurt Russell's dad was a big baseball player called Bing Russell. Again, baseball is not a thing over here, so I never.
There's a great documentary about Bing Russell and on Netflix, I believe. I don't remember what it's called, but it is all about his baseball league that he tried to run.
Oh, is this common knowledge in the US then that he was a player?
Not really. No, it's more of hey, you're into baseball. You kind of know Kurt Russell a little bit. There you go.
Okay.
So it's like the weird kind of quasi known celebrity lineage of because Bing Russell, then the father of Kurt Russell, who is then the stepdad of Kate Hudson and stuff. It's very sort of it's all what. There's all these people they're connected and stuff, but it's not really hey, Liza Minnelli was Judah Garland's daughter, that level of people knowing about it. But,
it's kind of a little bit more, a little aristocratic, isn't it? Try to get away from that.
Yeah. The thing is, though, you look into Larry Franco's credits, and because it seems like him and Kurt would have been really tight up until a point, because it's he worked on Escape from New York, The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Tango and Cash, and then it's no further Kurt Russell projects. that must have been when the divorce hit, and it's they're you don't go near that goddamn Larry Franco again. All right.
Oh my God.
He's cut out of the family.
He did do They Live, though, which I remember hearing Rowdy Roddy's name going on in earlier in this episode, so there's that.
Yeah. Yes, and I know, Niall, you're not huge on that movie, but I love it. Not just because Roddy Piper's in it.
See, I love the concept of it, and I love the big prolonged fight scene because it's ridiculous, but the film itself is very poorly paced. And it's only 87 minutes long as well, but it's really, it feels like it's about 5 hours long.
I like the pace.
No.
It's nice and slow and it builds.
Nah.
I'll agree that the pace is kind of wonky, but it still is watchable.
No, I'm not going to come in. It's gotten very, more recent years, very iconic though. For years, people didn't really care about They Live, and then in the past maybe the past 10 years, it's sort of become this really iconic, They Live, We Sleep, and all the consume things, and it's all in the kind of rise of the, anonymous whatnots, and the internet striking back against the ominous forces that be and whatnot. There's kind of a...
That's even more reason for you to like it then, Niall.
See,
don't make me hit you on the head with a coconut.
See, I do like the idea of They Live, but it's just Roddy Piper's great in it as well, but it's just it's a good idea. It could be better executed, except if you were to remake it, you'd have to just insert that fight scene wholesale into it.
Don't even remake the scene.
Yeah, just in the middle, even if you got two completely different actors, just put Roddy and Keith David's fight back in, and it's it doesn't even matter if they look like them. It's who cares? Who cares at this point?
No jump cuts, no nothing else, just regular, normal cuts like they had in the original movie, so you know that they're actually just beating the hell out of each other.
What else was the? Of course. Then we're back into some credits that we're very familiar with John Peters, Peter Guber, Melnicker, and Uzlan. Although Michael Uzlan, notably, and fingers crossed, because I know on Instagram one of the pages we follow is like a fan page to the Tim Burton's Gotham. Apparently, they had been asking Michael Uslan recently, and they've put up a screenshot of it and stuff, saying basically like, well, you've got this Batman 66 comic line going, you had the Return of the Caped Crusaders, all the throwbacks to the Adam West era. Surely, if you'd not considered doing any more expansive stuff like a comic book or an animated movie on Tim Burton's version of Gotham, because there's a fan base here that we all wanted, and Michael Uslan actually responded saying pretty much just saying, yeah, we're working on it. We're trying to do something. Ooh. So it's like, you never know. Maybe Batman and Robin won't be the end for me and John. It's like, by that point, there could be another Michael Keaton animated Batman movie or something out. I would feel obligated to cover that.
We'd have to, but I would struggle.
Anyhow, but yeah, and then of course, Bob Kane, invented Batman, and went into that may not be quite as clean cut as it seems, quite a bit in the last movie, and of course this thing here as well. Not to make the episode go on too long, but
what?
Like we're because there's a thing in the background here as the basket is going past, and it's a weird optical illusion to me because it's very basically a tap that's just jutted out of the wall, but for some reason to me it always looks like a plastic gas mask, and like every time I see it I just keep thinking, why is there a gas mask here? And I was like,
you're a weirdo.
Yeah, but it's odd. Does no one else see it? It kind of looks like a a Dennis Hopper and Blue Velvet kind of gas mask or something. It's nothing.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of.
I don't know, man. It's like every time I always have to sort of remind myself that it is but a tap. So, and then of course, the music starts getting into sort of like idle rhythms version of the Batman theme. It's very low. It's really winding down. It's getting into this like a little bit of bongo playing and stuff. And it's like, yep, it's gonna have a little bit of a chill version of the Batman march here, and yeah.
Elfman's spending in work.
He does. He really goes to town in this movie. The soundtrack is great.
I actually noticed at the very beginning, before my minutes, there was a bit of Mars Attacks in there as well too.
Yes, definitely. I think this is one of the movies that sort of lays the foundation for a sound that's basically in every one of his scores.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well yeah, very much when the choir kicking in is like that's a Danny Elfman signature. But the thing though, the theme tune to Mars Attacks, the entire like opening sequence of Mars Attacks is like one of the most underrated things that both Tim Burton and Danny Elfman ever did. I always maintain, because people always dump on Mars Attacks. It's like, oh, it's a pretty fun movie. But
I love it.
But yeah, that opening, bit of all the ships coming out of, from Mars and approaching Earth while the kind of theremin heavy theme tune is playing, it's friggin' amazing. It's like, well,
it is.
It's really like, it really gets you jived up, you're pumped for this movie by the end of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember specifically putting my my radio up to the TV, recording that song so I can listen to it multiple times.
I'm not the only one who did things like that. Thank God.
No, you didn't. I did it too. It's so great.
I once as well. This is insane. You're going to make fun of me now. As a kid, I loved Ghostbusters so much. I put the it's basically a boom box. Let me sound really old there. I put that up to the TV while I was playing Ghostbusters and recorded Ghostbusters onto a cassette tape so I could listen to it when I was riding my bike. So I listened to the film. So you audiobooked. Yeah, I created audiobooks. It's a little known fact.
That's great. No, I wish I had the foresight to do that as well too, because that's a great idea.
It wasn't.
Oh,
my parents would inevitably walk in the room, and I'd be like, "Oh, you've ruined it." You made noise.
Like I did it with just the songs though, but like for Dazed and Confused, just to get like the soundtrack to that. You get all the hits from the 70s in that movie. But like it got to a stage though when later in life when you could actually just get the actual soundtrack and you get this pristine, perfect sound quality, and it doesn't have like at the end of the song all of a sudden there's a sound of people playing baseball or something, and it's like, oh, I'm used to I'm used to the old cassette way. Like the fact that it doesn't have the hiss and the kind of muffled sound and stuff. It's like, no, kind of.
Oh, you missed it.
Yeah, kind of preferred the version I had. But it's like, oh, that's all right. Foghat. I'm sure you worked a lot in your production there, but I'd rather it sounded like it was held up to the TV screen and my dad's old tape recorder. So, but anywho, is that it for this minute? You guys got anything relevant to this particular minute?
Not really. No, I'm good.
No, all done.
Yeah, let's blow this thing and go home then.
Hell yeah. So, in fact, yes, would you like to tell our good listeners where they can find you and the wonderful Roughneck Minute one more time?
Sure. Yeah, you guys can go to pretty much we're on any podcatcher you guys can find. The Roughneck Minute. We go through Starship Troopers 1 minute at a time, and we are finished. But we do have some other stuff coming out eventually. So yeah, I mean, as soon as you're finished, keep listening.
Yeah, do. Make sure you do. In fact, it's wonderful. It's fantastic. And make sure you join us again to see out the week. We will be back with minute 6 of Batman Returns. Finally, a little something starts to happen.
Yeah.
It starts. Let me warn you. There's not a lot going on, but there's a little bit. We're getting into the action, baby. So yes, come back again on Friday for more Bat Minute Returns.
Next time, all washed up, our flushed infant makes a final pass of the U-bend as our time in the cavern of credits comes to an end. But as the public march a beat down Gothic streets, which new threat reportedly lurks under their feet? Find out Friday, same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.